The skyscrapers in the background and Lake Michigan alongside the racetrack.
NASCAR is coming back to Chicago. A 4th of July weekend festival of music and racing through downtown Chicago's iconic streets.
Well, how's the fall, boys? It's going to be a good one.
The biggest names in music headline the stage, while the brightest stars in NASCAR chase the checkered flag.
That's very cool.
The Chicago Street Race Weekend. For tickets and experiences, visit NASCARChicago.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you from our Bryant-Denny Stadium Advantage Center studios here in Tuscaloosa, and it's great to have you along as we talk about baseball and softball in the postseason, plus some Alabama football. We'll take a look at what's coming up on the show, plus our headlines for today, thanks to our friends at RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. Let's see what's coming up first on the show today. First things first, we'll have a visit with the baseball coach of the University of Alabama, Rob Vaughn, as he previews what's coming up this weekend for Alabama in the NCAA tournament in the Tallahassee Regional. Then we'll have a one-on-one conversation with Alabama football wide receiver Caleb Odom, who hasn't played a game yet for the Crimson Tide, but was certainly impressive all throughout the spring for Alabama. We'll talk about his journey to Tuscaloosa coming up shortly. Then we'll take a look back to a really fun weekend for our softball broadcasters, Tom Canterbury, Gray Robertson, and Knoxville, Tennessee, as they helped Alabama pick up a win in the Super Regionals against Tennessee, and number 14 seed Alabama beating number 3 seed Tennessee. Thrilling games. We'll take a look back at kind of their journey around Sherry Parker Lee Stadium on campus in Knoxville, plus some of the booth cam highlights from Alabama's win in the Super Regional that allows Alabama to move on to the Women's College World Series. Starting our headlines with looking at Alabama softball, the Crimson Tide again beating Tennessee in the Knoxville Super Regional. Quite an upset, really took all of America's attention when focused on softball. It was all Alabama with what Alabama was able to do in that strong 2-game victory over Tennessee. Now this weekend, the Women's College World Series is starting in Oklahoma City as the Crimson Tide are appearing for the 15th time. That's most among any SEC program. And earlier today, the journey began against UCLA out in Oklahoma City. We will have full coverage, of course, on the Crimson Tide Sports Network with Tom and Gray calling each game, plus our social media platforms will have coverage of Alabama softball as well. Switching things over to baseball, the Crimson Tide are also postseason bound in baseball this weekend. They'll be playing in the Tallahassee Regional at Florida State. First time that Alabama's made it back to the postseason in the NCAA tournament for back-to-back seasons since 2013 and 2014 in the Medj Gaspard era. Coming up this weekend, Alabama will first face UCF, then hopefully host Florida State, possibly Stetson as well. That's the field coming up for the Tallahassee Regional coming up over the course of the weekend, and Alabama's hoping to add to what has already been 8 regional titles in UA history, including last year when Alabama won the Tuscaloosa Regional here at home at Sewell Thomas Stadium. But best of luck to the baseball team. We'll be talking shortly with the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Rob Vaughn. Some other individual notes around Alabama athletics. We were thrilled to see Philip Planentek win the 2024 NCAA Singles Championship in men's tennis. It is the first tennis NCAA title in Alabama history. We hope to visit with him on this show coming up in the next few weeks, but great recognition for Philip, and all of Alabama certainly proud of his accomplishments winning that national championship. Cannon Claycom's been playing golf at a high level throughout his Alabama career. He's been a guest before on this show, and he was named to the Ping Southeast All-Region team for some of the great play he's had, and he's getting ready for a busy summer coming up. Again, we hope to visit with him coming up shortly. And then Darian Reed, of course, a talented signee for men's basketball. He's been named to the under-18 national team for Team USA, so what a great summer of competition that he's going to have coming up, representing the University of Alabama, and of course, getting to represent his country playing for Team USA. So this week, some really great individual accomplishments in addition to the team success we see with softball and baseball. As we start our show today, we'll visit first with Rob Vaughn, the head coach of the Crimson Tide baseball team, who's gotten through the rigors of the SEC schedule for the first time as he is coming over from Maryland, where he previously won some big titles with the Terrapins. But now in his first season with Alabama, he has seen the Crimson Tide go through the ups and downs of SEC play and the SEC tournament. Now a fresh slate for Alabama as regionals will start coming up this weekend in Tallahassee. Here's our one-on-one conversation with Alabama head coach Rob Vaughn. This is Roger Hoover. Now, please be joined by the head coach of the Crimson Tide baseball team, Rob Vaughn, as we get set for the most exciting time of the year coaching college baseball. Regional time is here, and the Crimson Tide are in. Roll Tide.
No doubt. Roll Tide, man. It's been a long 8 to 10 months to get here, and Obviously, you look back last year and they had such a special year here. JJ led this group to some awesome things and man, did some really cool stuff. And the good news is you were riding some momentum. The bad news is about 95% of those guys were gone, be it the draft, be it graduation. So just credit those three guys, JJ, Pap, and Mo for putting together a team that's able to have a ton of new faces, but still collectively come back, get themselves back in the postseason. And I think everything's a blessing in disguise. None of us like losing early in Hoover. I can tell you that right now. That one stung. That was man, I don't ever want to be in that spot again. Waiting from Tuesday to Monday to figure out your fate's a heck of a long time. So I'm not happy about that, but on the same end, it gave some of our guys a little bit of a breather, which I don't think can be the worst thing in the world. So it's all about how you play baseball down the stretch, and these guys want to keep playing together. We keep winning weekends, and I'm excited to get back on the field with them on Friday. It feels like it's been a while. We're ready to go.
As we talked before, this is your first year coaching in the SEC, and coach 11 teams from the SEC make it to the postseason, most we've ever seen. Does that just show how tough and battle tested this Crimson Tide team is, facing and winning series against so many of those teams?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it, and man, this selection process is just so difficult, across the board. I don't envy the committee and how they have to navigate this stuff. I've been on the other side of it, several times, and you look at College of Charleston and Coach, Chad Holbrook's a friend of mine, and to see that group got left out was hard. That's not fun. I feel like that's a postseason caliber team, and I don't think there's any question. And they didn't get left out. And I think a lot of people point to the SEC, and they can point to, man, they've got 5 teams in that are 4 games below 500 in their league, and they're getting in, and we do this and that. And then you heard Gary Gilmore from Coastal say it perfectly yesterday. He was super, and you don't hear that from a lot of mid-major coaches, but he's on his way out. He's retiring, so he can probably just speak his mind a little bit. And man, just talking about the gauntlet of what the SEC is, and I think that's what I experienced this year. Is I've got friends around the country that play SEC teams, be it on a Tuesday or be it on a preseason type thing, and the what makes this league good, it's not just good teams, it's the day in and day out, the 10-week grind of you're playing the best of the best every game. And if you're not the best version of yourself, it doesn't matter if you're playing Auburn and Missouri, who didn't make the tournament, or if you're playing Tennessee, who won the league's the number 1 overall seed. If you don't get your best punch, you lose every time. There's no wiggle room. There's none of that. And I think that's what makes this league awesome. It's what makes it fun. As a competitor, that's what you should want. I think I would shy away from any kid or any coach that was afraid of that, but I think what that allows you to do is step into postseason play, and you're battle tested. That's for darn sure. And I think the one thing with all the attention brought to the AC or to the SEC in this is, I mean, there's great baseball everywhere. We're playing 3 really good teams this weekend that aren't from our league. Florida State is a national seed. What Link's done in year 2 there is unbelievable. Rich Wallace, first year at UCF, what he's done there, turning that thing around. Those guys can really pitch, man, and it's different. Like, it's heavy changeups, it's a mix, it's pitchability over stuff. But man, getting in the postseason his first year there, we played UCF last year when I was at Maryland. That wasn't close to being a postseason team last year, and you see what he's done is pretty remarkable. And then obviously you have a good team in Stetson that has made some noise this year and done some really good things. So that, I think that the strength of the SEC cannot be taken as a knock against the rest of college baseball. I think that's one thing that's really important to point out. But at the same time, man, it's the best of the best. It's environment, it's pressure, it's crowds, it's elite stuff night in and night out. And I think what that does, if you can come out the other end of it, man, it sets you up to be successful when you roll into the NCAA tournament.
And now for the Crimson Tide, rolling into Tallahassee, Florida for the regional. You mentioned the teams Alabama will face, starting with UCF, but then Florida State, Stetson also in the bracket as well. If you could just give us a brief snapshot of those teams and what you've learned about them over the course of the last few days.
Yeah, no, Florida State obviously pretty well. They came here and played. We're going to play them a lot, man. They came here and played this fall. We'll obviously hopefully play them this weekend. That means we're both on the winner side of it. And then we'll return to Tallahassee next fall to play them down there. So we're going to get real familiar with Seminoles, but elite offense. I mean, elite offense. They've got some big time hitters in there. Talk to some friends that have played them this year in their league, and It's like, man, it's the best fastball hitting team in the country. Like, they dominate the heater. And if you're going to line up and just try to throw fastballs away and sliders, are going to pound you. So you got to move the ball around. You got to be able to get the ball in. You got to be able to do some of those things. But just a really elite lineup. Had probably, in my mind, one of the best pitchers in college baseball, and Jamie Arnold as their number one. And I don't know if anything's been announced when he's throwing, if he's going to go against Stetson or if he's not. But man, it's left-handed. It's upper 90s. It's really good stuff. He threw against us this fall, and it was good. I remember him leaving saying, like, that's the best arm on their staff. But at the time, it wasn't 94, 97. It was more like 91, 92, 91, 93. So his stuff's ticked up, and he's throwing the ball really well. UCF, kind of same thing. I think pitching over offense. Now, they still have some hitters that can hit a little bit. They've got a guy hitting 385 there in the middle. Not a ton of homers. I think they've hit about 55 homers as a team. They just play baseball, and that's what Rich Wallace is known for. He is just a baseball coach, man. They pitch, and again, it's pitch ability over power. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of dudes running out that are 97 to 100 with their guys, but what they're all going to do is they're all going to command the strike zone. They're all going to mix pitches. They can all pitch off their changeup. They move their fastball around. They throw lots of strikes. They play elite defense. So you look at their team, and it's a direct reflection of their head coach. And he came from Florida State. Just a really good baseball guy. And then you go to Stetson, and truth be told, like, we haven't got to a lot of this, or at least I haven't got to a lot of Stetson stuff yet. Really, most of my attention's been on UCF as we're trying to just dive in and go to work there. Steve Trimper's been around a long time, man. He was up at Maine for a while. We actually played him when he was at Stetson, when I was at Maryland. Up at our place, we did a home and home. So they came to us one year. We went down to them the next year. So he knows how to get teams in the postseason. He knows how to get teams to win, and they've had some really good players run through Stetson. So shoot, they beat Florida State a couple weeks ago down in DeLand, I think 10-5. So they've shown that they can go line up and compete with some of the best in the country. So it's going to be a heck of a weekend. I think you look up, and you never know what's going to happen in these things. I think I used to always look at this, we're going to play it a game at a time, but I think you actually got to peel it back a little bit more and kind of play it an inning at a time. We got to go out and win innings and just figure out how to get to the next one. Because you start game planning saying, man, if we win, we're going to play these guys here, and then you lose and that thing gets completely lit on fire. So 4 really good teams. Should have hopefully some decent weather down in Tallahassee this weekend. So, man, we're just excited to get back on the field.
Yeah, and with that, how do you try and manage a pitching staff through all of this? Because you can have some really long days. Sometimes things can go to plan, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just how do you try and manage the ebbs and flows, especially with the pitching staff on what could be very unpredictable days?
No doubt. I mean, you obviously have kind of plan A, which is stay in the winner's bracket. You win game 1, you win game 2, and you get to Sunday and you win game 3, and you all high five and everything's good. But you and I both know very rarely does it go that easy. So I think there's a lot of different things it's what makes college athletics. You see it in every sport, but every year you see it in college baseball. It's what Veach did against us at South Carolina. That guy's gone 2 innings stints all year, and he doesn't get hit, but he's gone like 2 inning stints. He goes almost 6 innings against us. He does that superhero thing. I had a kid at Maryland. We hosted in 22, and we had gone through. We got in the losers bracket. We knocked Wake out. We had beat UConn, and we beat Long Island. We were playing UConn in kind of an elimination game, and we had Nick Robinson, who, man, he was a graduate student. He had a screw put in his elbow at his previous institution because he had fractured his elbow. I love the kid. Unbelievable makeup. Had probably thrown 10, 11 innings for us on the year, and went 7 shutout against those guys. And like, you see that in the postseason, it creates these opportunities for really cool memories for these kids. So, when you get in a bad position, it takes something like that. It's going to take Austin Morse coming out, and instead of giving us 2 good ones, you look up and, man, he just rattled 6 shutout against them. It's going to take Tyler Fay doing that. Or you get 3 great starts and you play really well offensively, and the bullpen holds, and it can be like, hey, it's right how we scripted it. But I think you just have to have that ebb and flow. It's all hands on deck. I think, we felt like we were in a pretty good position. Not that we didn't. You could see by the way we used our pitching staff in Hoover. We sent it game 1 to try to win that thing and just didn't. but it's all hands on deck. We had a pretty good feeling we'd be playing this week. There's nothing next. There's some of these kids they're guaranteed 2 more games to put this jersey on. And I know it means a heck of a lot to a lot of those guys. So I'm excited to get out and go with them. But we'll have kind of plan A, and then man, we'll have to have a guy step up and step in and see what we got if things go awry.
Well, Coach, best of luck with your final practice coming up before the team heads to Tallahassee. Best of luck this weekend, and let's hopefully be talking on the show again next week, previewing the Super Regional. But thank you for your time as always. Roll Tide, Coach.
Heck yeah, Roger. Appreciate you. Roll Tide, baby.
NASCAR is taking racing to the next level this 4th of July weekend with the return of the Chicago Street Race. Between experiencing world-class racing through the twists and turns of downtown Chicago's Grant Park, to an entertainment-filled weekend with your favorite artists including Keith Urban, the Chainsmokers, the Black Keys, and Lauren Elena, there is something for everyone to enjoy. Don't miss out on your chance to be part of the most talked-about event of the summer. Check this once-in-a-lifetime event off your bucket list and lock in your tickets today at NASCARchicago.com. From the baseball diamond to the football field, we're on the practice fields this spring. Everybody was talking about Alabama wide receiver, or is he a tight end? Caleb Odom. He is certainly one of the most talented newcomers to this Crimson Tide roster. He joins us to talk about his journey from Carrollton, Georgia, here to Tuscaloosa, and what he hopes for the Crimson Tide coming up this fall here in T-Town. Here's our conversation with Caleb Odom. Roll Tide and welcome to this edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Glad to welcome you to Bryant-Denny Stadium, to our podcast studio inside the Advantage Center. I'm joined by Alabama. Let's see. Are you a wide receiver or are you a tight end? Caleb Odom, an outstanding freshman for the Crimson Tide, joins us now. Roll Tide, Caleb. How's it going?
Roll Tide. It's going good. Been chilling. Summer started back, so, we got classes. Been hitting some workouts hard, but, it's good, chilling.
So now that you're back on campus after a little bit of time off after the spring semester, can you kind of describe what a typical day is like for you at this time of the year?
Yeah, so pretty much every day of the week except for this week on Friday, because we didn't do it. We didn't have anything Monday. So this week on Friday, we'll have pretty much every day we have workouts at 6:30 a.m. I have to be there at 6:30 a.m. All freshmen do, unfortunately. But, the earlier we can get out the way, the better. And then other older guys may have it at 8:30, 9:30. But we have like 3 different lift groups or whatever. But one day we'll lift. The next day we'll either run. So basically I'm knocking that out the way. 6:30, I'll probably get done like 8 or so. Other than that, I'm going to go home. I'll go back to the crib, eat some breakfast, lay down, probably chill. If I end up taking a nap, I'll take a nap. But other than that, I'll have classes from 3 to 4. So it's nothing. I'm pretty free most of the time. I'll probably go throw, play a little golf, or do whatever. Just find something to fill my free time with.
So as we're in the last week of May going into June, does it feel like the season's close in those workouts? Is there like a sense of urgency, or does it still feel kind of far away until you get the helmet and shoulder pads back on?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a little bit of both. Like, we know right now, the season is it's still 90-some days away, but we know that what we're working out right now and what we're doing right now is a stepping stool, and we need to kind of take it serious and work hard, because this is how we're working right now is going to translate to the game in the future. So we know that we need to take it serious, do all that type of stuff, but it still feels like the season's so far away. We're ready for it to come for sure, though.
You talked about how the focus is really on your strength, conditioning at this time of the year. Obviously, you've done those things in high school before, but how much different is it at the college level with all the resources we have here?
I would definitely say, on the weightlifting side of things, working out, pushing the weight, I would definitely say when I was at Carrollton, we had a lot of resources there too. I was definitely blessed to go there. The schools are nice, amazing. In the weight room, we had a lot of the same machines that here at Alabama we use. It's just way bigger here at Alabama, obviously, the room. But I feel like on the weight room side of stuff, it's really kind of the same almost. Obviously it's more intense here. We got more probably reps and more sets to do. But other than that, I feel like my transition from high school to here, the workouts, it was kind of smooth. I just, kept working hard, and now I feel like I'm hitting the ground running for sure.
From the weightlifting perspective, what's your favorite thing to do? What's your least favorite thing to do in there?
My favorite thing to do is probably power cleans. I like the lower hand cleans. Least favorite, probably.
We're not going to show Coach Ballou. He won't see this.
Probably squat. But squat is just I don't know. I'm just so tall. I feel like I have to get down so low sometimes. So I don't know, squat. I don't like bench. Bench is all right, arm day. I don't mind a nice arm day. So.
That's good. Well, you got to get those arms and hands ready for blocking. I mean, I mentioned as we kind of joked to start the interview, are you a wide receiver or a tight end? I want to hear from your perspective. Which one are you?
I'm a wide receiver. I'm a taker.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because your skill level, it does translate really to both sides, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I definitely I've never really played tight end, to be quite honestly. Like throughout high school, I never took one snap of tight end. They just kind of had me at tight end, so. I was going to come up here and play tight end. It'll be my first time ever playing tight end for Coach Saban. And then obviously what happened. And then Coach Shepard and Coach DeBoer came in here. They saw what I could really do from my practice clips in the bowl prep. So they were like, we got to put this guy back at wide receiver. And so they did. And I'm definitely happy because that's where I feel most comfortable at.
That's certainly good. And again, we'll talk about your journey. First of all, let's go back to your hometown. You mentioned Carrollton, Georgia. What was it like to grow up? What first got you into football?
It's a good town. It's a small little town. It's not that far from Alabama. Like the state of Alabama actually is probably like 25, 30 minutes out. It's West Georgia. It has a college there, so there's a lot of people. The people are definitely nice, though. Everybody knows everyone. But yeah, I would definitely say I got into football just because I was always tall. Like growing up, I was always the tallest kid. I always played basketball, football, baseball, soccer. So I was definitely playing a lot of sports, and then I kind of realized I was good probably in like 9 and 10 when I had like 45 rushing touchdowns in one season. So that's kind of when I was like, all right, like I probably didn't say that then, but now looking back, I'm like I was definitely thinking like I could do this way longer, like keep playing football.
That's a lot of touchdowns.
I know, yeah.
So I mean, were you shedding a lot of tackles, or you just have a lot of open field?
I was doing both, I guess. I was probably like 5'8" at 10 years old. So
there's some pretty good clips where you kind of look like Derrick Henry. We've seen his high school clips, right?
Yeah, I got some YouTube clips. It's bad, yeah.
So again, that kind of gives you the inkling that football may be the sport for you. When did you start playing wide receiver?
I started playing wide receiver in middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They put me out wide because I was too big to play running back.
How much fun was that, getting to learn that position?
It was cool. I really didn't get the ball a lot, so I ran like jet sweeps, maybe caught like a little screen pass every once in a while, but it was fun though. I mean, it's wide receiver, so yeah. We didn't really have a quarterback in middle school, so I couldn't really do anything.
But when you get to Carrollton for high school, did you start having some good quarterbacks to work with? Then from there, did you kind of learn the whole route tree and kind of everything you had to do?
Oh, yeah. Getting to Carrollton was definitely crazy. Having Juju Lewis as my quarterback, he's a phenomenal player, phenomenal person. Just the way he carries himself, he can spin it crazy. So me getting the ball thrown in the right place was never going to be a problem for me, and it was definitely allowed me to focus on the route tree. I feel like as a wide receiver, you have to know a lot of things that maybe most people wouldn't think you know. I feel like you need to know the protection. It gives you enough so you know how much time you need to run your route, whether you need to run it slow, fast, do this, do that. You need to know coverages. You need to know what the defensive line is doing. If they're sending a blitz, you need to cut your route short. Just different stuff like that. You also need to know the quarterback's read. Are you the last read? Are you the first read? Just stuff like that. So I would definitely say Carrollton High School was able to get me to that spot and knowing that I need to know all that. And then when I got here, got running this past spring, Coach Shepard, he's an amazing coach. He's teaching us all of that. So I feel like he's definitely getting me ready for the next level and getting me ready to start playing. So, yeah.
So, again, really good high school career. How competitive is football in the state of Georgia and some of the games you played, especially the Atlanta area schools? I mean, did you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder when you guys would go up against them?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Georgia football is probably second or third best in the nation just because it's, like, so competitive. But I feel like we have the best coaches in the nation. Like, just the discipline that a lot of Georgia teams have is uncanny than to, like, any other state in the nation. I feel like it's Texas is another one up there, Florida. I don't feel like Cali's up there really no more. But I feel like Georgia football is nice. Like it's a lot of different types of schools. Like you got the smaller schools, the schools that are gonna run like the ball every play. Then you got schools that are air it out, do both. So it's like it's definitely Georgia football is like that for sure.
What kind of offense were you in?
We were in like an air raid spread type offense, so I was getting the ball a lot for sure.
And playing fast tempo too.
Yeah, fast tempo, yeah.
That's certainly good. If you look back to your high school days, who is the coach that really influenced you the most? Who helped you the most in your development?
Yeah, so getting to Carrollton my 11th grade year, I would say I was taken in by Coach King, obviously the head coach there. He was amazing. You know, just the way he's a crazy coach. He's gonna hold you to a standard of perfection. We call it the gold standard at Carrollton, and so he's definitely gonna hold me there. He was a big influence in my life. Just learning how to be a football player, but also a man. And then obviously my wide receiver coach, Coach Josh Barge, he played at Jacksonville State for a little bit. He has every record there. So he's so young. I was able to kind of vibe with him more, talk to him about deeper, like more personal things, have conversations with him and my mom. So he was definitely able to be a big influence in my life for sure.
And then your world when you were in high school got rocked a little bit. You mentioned more personal things.
Yeah.
What can you tell our fans about your little brother, Cannon?
Yeah, so Cannon's my little brother. He's 3 years old. He's going on 4 this September. But yeah, my freshman going into my freshman year of high school, my mom had him. He ended up having a brain injury throughout the pregnancy and the delivery. And so when he came, he was without oxygen for maybe 20, 30 minutes. And so, yeah, him being born, he wasn't able to, he's not able to swallow. So he has a feeding tube and different stuff like that. He's not really able to, he's kind of like behind on his age. So he's probably he's 3 right now, but he's probably actually like 6 months, maybe like 7 months. So yeah, but Cannon, I love him, man. That's my brother. I'd do anything for him. That's my ride or die. So yeah.
How did it change your perspective at all on just even your role kind of in your family and your household?
Yeah, just seeing all the stuff my mom had to do. Like she's seeing, like, he was in the hospital for probably the first year of his life in Atlanta. So just seeing her make the sacrifices, still being able to come to my games, see me, make time for me, but also her going up to Atlanta every day, driving 45 minutes plus traffic. To see to see Cannon was definitely, it put a new perspective of wow, my mother is a strong person. And then I have something else like Cannon, his injury, obviously that. So, every day I step on the football field, I have a why and a reason of why I do stuff and who I want to do it for. So, yeah.
How meaningful is it when you get to go back home? Even when you're in high school, you're done with the ball game, you get to see him, and now in some break times you gotten to see him, and I know they're going to hopefully move here, and you get to see him a lot more, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm excited. Just seeing that hopefully they'll move here this summer, probably the next month or so. But yeah, that'll be good. They'll be living near Birmingham or whatever, so the UAB hospital for children is really good up there. So I know he's gonna be in good hands, but I'll be going up there a lot to see him for sure.
We're really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And again, you made Alabama your choice, so just like your family's now following behind as well. When did Alabama kind of get on the radar in the recruiting process for you?
So it was actually pretty late. I feel like Alabama didn't really start coming really toward me until probably senior season. And then when senior season started, I got offered by Coach Reese. So he had just came in from Notre Dame at the time. I think, actually that's not the right timeline. I think he came in the end of my junior year. He had just came from Notre Dame. Then he offered me, and so I was able to talk to Coach Saban on junior day, talk to him. And when I got that offer, I was kind of like, all right, it just got serious. Alabama offered me. So, yeah.
Was that here in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, it was here in Tuscaloosa. We were sitting down having a little lunch before we went out to do all the tours and stuff. And he was like, you got the offer, right? And I was like, what? Really? Yeah, I was kind of confused, but yeah, I was happy. Sure.
Did you get to go to his office and have that conversation?
Yeah, Coach Saban took me in, man. We had a conversation, and then Coach Reese told me. So yeah, it was definitely cool.
That's a great experience. Now, had you grown up? You mentioned you were just outside the border. Had you grown up an Alabama fan at all? I'm sure you'd watched the side throughout the years.
It's quite sad, but I was actually an Auburn fan growing up.
What's the connection there? Why?
Cam Newton.
Okay.
Growing up, a lot of people say I look like him, so I would always watch Cam Newton play and just watch him. I was a Panthers fan too, so yeah, it was always Auburn because of Cam Newton. Yeah.
But then pretty quickly you're able to embrace the Crimson Tide and all the tradition. And again,
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure
sure.
just being around Coach Saban, I know how intimidating it was for
Yeah.
me as a fan
Yeah,
getting
for
to know
sure.
him as a broadcaster. But I mean, what was that like for you the first few times?
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, Coach Saban is just a person just like us. So I was nervous, but I realized that, and I was like, he's just a person just like us. And so I was able to kind of start to actually listen to him more and understand what he's saying and why he's saying it, and like not be so like scared or timid and ask questions and stuff. But it was surreal for sure, just knowing that's Coach Saban talking to you. Yeah, it was crazy.
And then this fall, again, you made your commitment to Alabama. You were able to get back to campus for a lot of games. Why was it important for you to keep coming back here to Bryant-Denny?
Yeah, it was important just to keep feeling the atmosphere for sure. Getting up here for game days was big for me. I wanted to see what I would be playing in and how it would be like, and it didn't disappoint for sure. I committed to the Tide July 15th. So but it was important for me to just keep getting back up here for connections and to like see what I would be playing in the atmosphere, but most of all like connections, like getting to know my coaches more and more, like seeing how they coach on game day, stuff like that. It was big. So yeah, seeing the offense I'd be put in, that was it.
So here a lot in the fall. Then were you an early enrollee?
Yes, sir.
So what was that experience like? When did you get here in December?
Yeah, I got here in December, right for bowl prep. Went to Cali with the team for the Rose Bowl, but that experience was crazy. Like now that I'm looking back at it, like I'm like, wow, it's more special to me because I was literally my only practices with Coach Saban. So like I was actually one of the few people in this class who got to practice with Coach Saban, and it was definitely surreal. Practicing, just listening to him talk after every practice. Hearing him scream at the defense, and then I was able to actually like run scout offense against the first team defense, so I was able to catch some balls, route some people up, and it was definitely big. Like just knowing that like I actually like have a chance to have an impact and stuff that early on, it was big. And so just being able to be out there with Coach Saban was definitely a surreal feeling.
And that allowed you to practice against guys that had heard their name called in April for the NFL draft. I mean, what was it like going up against Kool-Aid and Terrion a week before you'd been in high school?
Yeah, it was crazy for sure. I was playing, so I was everywhere on scout team and ended up going against Kool-Aid a couple of times. He's really good, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
He's got 3 years on you.
Yeah, he's tough. He's nice, but and then like I have a vivid memory of Terrion. Like me and him we would go at it. Like we actually like we had this period like 2-on-2s, and like so I actually went against Terrion one time and I ran a corner route, caught it on him, and I felt like dang, like I just caught the ball on Terrion Arnold, but it was cool for sure. Just practicing with those guys. Dallas. I blocked Dallas a few times. That wasn't easy.
That's not easy.
Chris Braswell, that wasn't easy. But it was definitely fun practicing with them.
So that's a really great experience. You get to go out to California for the Rose Bowl, and then just over a week later, you walk into a team meeting, and I'm sure I got some news you didn't expect. What was that like?
Yeah, it was crazy. We just everyone just kind of went in there all expecting him to be like, like let's get back to it, like let's work. Fell short, but we're gonna get back to it. But like it was kind of like halfway through his little speech, like you kind of tell his body language is off or whatever. So like, and we kind of knew when he was like right when he was like, this is the first time I felt like I haven't been able like to uphold the standard of Alabama. Like I remember those words vividly coming out of his mouth, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what? And then like I kind of wasn't even paying attention, but then I heard the word retired. And I like snapped back in it, and you couldn't hear you could hear a pin drop in the room. Like everyone just went like dead silent, like because nobody knew, and it was so unexpected. Like it was crazy news for sure. I went and called my mom right after.
Did you get a chance to talk to him one-on-one at all? Maybe not even that day, but in the weeks afterwards.
Nah, I haven't. I didn't. I never got to talk to him after. I know he's been living his life though for sure. Retirement life is fun, so I'm not mad or anything. I know he's been chilling.
Again, a great experience. You got to be around him for the Rose Bowl practice and even right after. And then, Greg Byrne also talked to you guys, said, hey, it won't be long until I have a new head coach in place for you. And then that Friday night, you get to meet Kalen DeBoer for the first time. What was it like getting to hear the news, first of all, that someone that had just been in the national championship game is now your coach?
Yeah. I really never knew anything about Coach DeBoer. Obviously, him being a Pac-12 coach and like him being up there, I was never really was like into that football, like watch those teams or whatever. But I would see like when Washington would be, I would watch the games when they played Oregon. You know, they knocked off Oregon, and then went into the national championship. So I obviously knew who he was. I never really knew much about him though, but get him to meet him that night. It was kind of like, it was like 9 p.m. You know, he came in there late, and we all just kind of like, we didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect, really. I was kind of expecting anything, but he came in, you know, he talked. He's a great guy for sure, I can tell. He's a great coach so far from what I've seen during spring. So we're all excited for sure.
That certainly is good. At any point were you kind of tempted maybe to kind of look around elsewhere, or were you always pretty committed to Alabama?
Nah, I came up here because it's the University of Alabama, and because I knew here I can make it to the NFL. So I was it never crossed my mind. Like I called my mom after Saban retired, and I was like, I told her Saban retired or whatever, and then she's like, no, wow, like she almost started crying or whatever. She was like, what does this mean for you? And I was like, I don't know, Mom. All I know is I'm locked in or whatever. And so, you know, it's been a business for me, but it's never been. I've always been like, when I made this commitment, I made it, and I never thought about flipping once. So.
That's really good to hear. And then not only Coach DeBoer comes in, but then probably for you, more importantly, you want to know who your new wide receiver coach is going to be. Jamarcus Shepard steps in. What have you liked about getting to know him? Yeah,
Coach Shepard is funny, man. He's a cool coach. He's a definitely he wants like perfection out of you, and I've been kind of around that type of coaching in high school and now obviously here. So like listening to him, he gets on us, but I understand he wants us to be perfect. If he wasn't yelling at us, he wouldn't think he wouldn't be yelling at us if he didn't think we could do it. And so I understand that, and I know like he's gonna get us where we need to go. Him having like 3,000-yard wide receivers last year in Rome, Jalen McMillan and the other receiver, Jalen Polk, I know that he knows what he's doing for sure, and so I'm excited. But getting to know him was definitely a cool experience. He's really funny.
And then Coach Sheridan comes over as the offensive coordinator as well. Familiarity still with Coach DeBoer on that Washington staff. Have you looked back to much Washington film and kind of see, okay, here's where I can fit in now with this new Alabama offense?
Oh yeah. Like over the weeks after they got hired and stuff, like I would just be on YouTube watching all like the ESPN highlights of like every game of their season. I would watch the Oregon games like 5 times, watch the Oregon State game, all those games. So I've definitely seen where I can see myself making the same plays that maybe Rome made, and I can definitely see myself like being able to make an impact in the offense for sure.
That's really good, and to do that, you got to have a really good quarterback play. Jalen Milroe leads that room. What's been like getting to know Jalen?
Yeah, Jalen, he's definitely a character, man. He's funny, but what I like about Jalen is that like he definitely, as soon as like all the early enrollee freshmen came in, like I feel like he's not one of those guys that's like, all right, like I'm not gonna like talk to them or whatever because like maybe they're too young, or like I'm not gonna make them feel like he definitely, like as soon as all the freshmen enrollee came in, like he talked to all of us. Like I remember like me and him would always be joking, and so like he definitely made us feel like, okay, like we're a part of this team, like we're a part of this team. And so getting to know him has been cool for sure. So he's a good guy. He's a great leader. You know, we had team run this morning. He's encouraging all the guys and stuff. So yeah, he's good.
How important is it the time away from kind of the organized practice that you had either in the spring, or we know you're doing a lot of strength conditioning stuff right now, but just getting together, not just with Jalen, but all the quarterbacks, all the wide receivers, running backs together to just do your own thing? How are those things organized, and how important is that building up the chemistry with your new quarterbacks?
Yeah, you know, we make our own time to go run routes, we like before spring in, and we called in all the receivers, the quarterbacks, and the tight ends, and we literally went through NFL clips and our clips, and it was about like we went over like scramble drill and different stuff just to understand like this stuff translate to the next level. So we got to get this right, like, and it was very clear that like Jalen was a big part of it. Like he wants us to be better. He wants us to get better. He's also focused on himself getting so much better. Like he tells us every day he's not perfect, all that stuff. And so, you know, we make time to go do stuff like that, Ty, he also is a part of it, and then Dylan too. Austin Mack, he's up there a lot throwing. All four of our scholarship quarterbacks are really good. So you know that, but it's important that we get to know how those guys throw the ball. Like all that stuff is very important because it translates to the game, and you know when you know how to run a route or you know what guy you have back there, it's big. So yeah.
How competitive is this wide receiver room?
Oh, we're very competitive. Man, it's crazy because like throughout spring practice, we have like a detailed grade or whatever, and we were striving to win it every day at practice, and so I feel like we definitely like are very what's the word competitive group. Yeah, we're a very competitive group.
And that's got to extend, too, to the defensive backs, linebackers you're going up against on the other side of the ball. We know there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah.
We had Kobe Prentice in that chair a few weeks ago. All he talked about was Red, basically, and how good Red Morgan's been for them.
Yeah, Red is good for sure. I feel like the guy I've been kind of going up against a lot is Xavier Mincy. He's nice. I feel like he's going to be really good. He's a long body corner, he's like 6'3", 6'2.5", 185. So I feel like I've been going up against him a lot. He's really good. So I'm excited though. But you know, going up, also like guys like Malachi Moore back there. He's a big leader on the backside. He's been making some plays. And so yeah, Bach, he's pretty good. So you know, just getting to go against them, Damani Jackson, all those guys, you know, it's definitely gonna help me get better for sure.
Yeah, do you love that iron sharpens iron mentality? I mean, Coach Saban's talked about it for years. That's why Alabama players are ready for the NFL. Look who they practice against for the majority of the year, not just who they play against in games.
Yeah, that's big. I feel like a lot of schools, like, you know, they have first team running up against scout team players and like third string players. Like, I mean, it's cool and all to get like your plays down and know what you're doing, but it's like, are you really going to get better if you're not going up against the best players every day? So I feel like us doing that, going up against 1v1s, 2v2s, like doing that every day, like that's going to get us better truly, because it's like we're getting better every day, whether it's technique, our mind, like just different stuff is going to help us for sure.
So I'm sure all of that's been exciting throughout, you know, Rose Bowl prep, spring football. Now you're getting all this summer work, getting ready for the season. But once we do get ready for kickoff, once it's Alabama against Western Kentucky week 1, what excites you the most about game day, especially here in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, I mean, I got a taste of it in A-Day, but like, man, just walking out into that crowd, like, I don't know, man, it's gonna be crazy. Like, I'm really like most excited just to see how far we've came. Like, I haven't been on the team for long. I just got here in December, but like from December to that first kickoff against Western Kentucky, I'm excited to see like how much we've grown. And then from the Rose Bowl game, I was able to watch that. I'm just excited to see how much the team has grown and how much we actually have learned and how we're going to translate that to the game. But there's a lot of stuff to be excited about for sure. Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to watch. We have had a blast, Caleb, getting to know you a little bit better here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Just thank you for all your time. Best of luck this summer. We can't wait to see you this fall. Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide. I can't wait.
NASCAR is coming back to Chicago.
Gonna be a good one.
The biggest names in music headline the stage, while the brightest stars in NASCAR chase the checkered flag. The Chicago Street Race Weekend. For tickets and experiences, visit NASCARChicago.com.
This past weekend was a fun one for Alabama softball fans all around the country, especially those that were in Knoxville, Tennessee for that Super Regional, as Alabama upset the third-seeded Tennessee Lady Volunteers by winning the final 2 games of that Super Regional. Tom Canterbury and Gray Robertson, of course, are our softball broadcasters. They joined us on this show last week to preview the Knoxville Super Regional. Here's a look behind the scenes at all their setup getting ready to broadcast those games in Knoxville, plus some of the booth cam highlights as Alabama won the Super Regional against Tennessee.
We are off to Sherry Parker Lee Stadium. We will be providing a little behind-the-scenes look at what our day is like on the radio side. Gray and Tom, let's get it. So this is our fleet car posse. Ryan's here for bat testing. We're all set to go. Time to get set up. Bye, Neater.
How we doing?
How are you?
Good.
We are here. Let's go. We've arrived at the radio booth. We're about to set up the equipment. Tom is about to hope and pray that it connects. We shall see. Stay tuned. It's about 2 hours out from first pitch. All right, moment of truth.
And right side. Boom, baby.
Connected? Let's go. All right, off to do the pregame interview with Murph. All right, so we're here on the field. We just did the pregame interview with Murph, and now, Tom, what do?
We try to get a fist bump from every player and staff member, and then go get ready for broadcast.
Yeah, and the occasional hug.
Sure.
We'll see if we can capture any. I don't know. Gonna be in action.
Lock it in. Looks just like me, right?
Just spitting image.
Wait, hold on. Pigtails.
Nailed it.
Yep, it's me, 2.0.
All right, all on-field stuff is done. So now this is where, Tom, what do we do?
Write in the lineups, post to social medias, and get ready to go.
Yeah, and go a little softball sicko mode.
yeah.
Watch some of the other games. Almost time.
Ready to roll.
Said that's a fly ball to deep left field. Way back. Way gone! Grand slam home run, Riley Valentine! Get out the buster, the rye bread grandma! Bama's up 4-0 here in the first. That one stayed fair, baby!
Oh, you love a redemption story. You love a narrative, right? Last year it was Callie. This year it's Riley. Callie's just drooped foul. Riley's was a no-doubter. Smashed. And guess what? The take sign was not on.
No, it was
By
not.
the way, she went ahead and hit it. And Alabama absolutely throws the first punch.
That is quite a haymaker to start
Man.
things off. The 1-1 pitch. Ground ball to short. Cahalan's there. Makes the throw. For out number 3. And Alabama wins the Knoxville Super Regional by a final score of 4-1 here in Game 3 for the 15th time in program history and the 4th time in the last 6 years. Alabama is going to the Women's College World Series. Got Kiki Malloy to ground out with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 7th.
Oh, why you got to make it hard on us, man?
And Alabama, we're going to Oklahoma City with Team 28.
Oh, I should have kept every receipt. Wait, I did. Dream come true. This team, man, how? The amount of belief that it took to get to this moment is unfathomable. It was hard all year. It makes sense for the narrative that the bottom of the 7th had to be hard. Tennessee showed the most fight they'd showed all weekend in that bottom of the 7th.
Absolutely.
And credit to them for putting up a good fight and a great season. But Alabama just clinched that OKC dream behind the team that nobody believed in. They were the only ones who had to believe. They did. And against all odds, against everything.
The Chicago Street Race Weekend is the can't-miss event of the summer. Don't miss out on the opportunity to witness the thrill of NASCAR stock cars battling for the checkered flag through the iconic streets of downtown Chicago, July 6th and 7th. Lock in your tickets today at NASCARChicago.com. Thanks to Tom and Gray, as they've already been busy today in Oklahoma City with Alabama's first game in the Women's College World Series. It's time to take a look at what's coming up here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network with our Wickles Weekend Update. As always, brought to you by Wickles Pickles. They're wickedly delicious. Find out more at WicklesPickles.com. Let's see what else is coming up across the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Well, of course, we will have softball coverage coming up the next few days, depending on whether Alabama's in the winner's bracket or the loser's bracket. The game times may change from Oklahoma City, so make sure you stay locked into our social media channels for the latest information on Alabama softball. We do know tomorrow that the baseball team will be starting its run in the Tallahassee Regional against UCF and then hopefully moving on to the winner's bracket, potentially against host and number 8 national seed Florida State on Saturday. But really the game times are to be determined for, again, baseball and softball depending on wins and losses. But we will have the latest information available right here on @UA_CTSN, all social media platforms for us as well as RolledTide.com. Hopefully we're talking about more wins for the Crimson Tide coming up next week. Maybe a check-in with the boys from Oklahoma Oklahoma City. And Rob Vaughn, as you heard, promised us another visit if Alabama baseball is moving on to the Super Regionals next week. But that's a look at what's coming up with our Wickles Weekend Update. And that's going to wrap up this edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Huge thank you to our guest, Caleb Odom, first of all, from the Alabama football team, for joining us here in studio at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Thanks as well to Rob Vaughn, giving us a great breakdown that you won't find anywhere else at the Tallahassee Regional coming up for the Alabama baseball team. And thanks as well to Tom Canterbury, Gray Robertson for all their insights and look behind the scenes from their visit to Knoxville. We're hoping for more coming up from them, coming up from Oklahoma City in the Women's College World Series. Thanks as well to Ethan Carabin, our video producer, who put this entire show together, as well as Lexi Graber, who arranged our interviews with our student athletes. She's done a great job with that all throughout this spring here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We especially thank her for this week's interview with Caleb Odom. For everyone with the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover saying thank you for watching. Now let's root on Alabama baseball and softball coming up this week. Until next time, roll Tide, everyone.